brought to you by De Familia Voces, a publishing company. The following is part of a discussion on Writings for an Open Mind, Volume 3. This discussion was filmed on Sunday, September 26, 2021. I hope you enjoyed it as much as we did. The last story that we're going to discuss today, I actually have it on Google Translator. We'll see if it picks up and get the proper pronunciation of this.
Manē rākhā.
I call it Manē rākhā, but obviously that's not how you say it. Again, that is in Bengali. And one of the things that I like doing with my writings is making people think, making them actually use their brain. And that's not the only language that's in this story. It was actually 6 different languages.
Oh, wow.
But let's go ahead. What questions do you have?
So I looked that title up, and the only thing I could come up with was that's a guy's name, who is like supposed to be some guru over, I guess, in the area around India or whatever.
I use Google Translator. It may not be accurate as far as how to say it. I'm just saying that that I thought I would look it up and get like a definition of the words, but I couldn't get a definition of the words because all I got was the pages for this guy. Are you talking translation or
no? I just Googled the title of the story. And the interesting thing is the way that you write the story is it's almost like there's a guru who is leading this guy through something and he's trying to figure it out. And he just doesn't think on the level of the, interconnected level of the guru kind of thing. So it was kind of interesting.
I want to say I did that on purpose, but I didn't.
How did you come up with the name?
Well, I like using different languages, for stuff. Like even some of my poetry that I've written, the titles are in different languages. So I know what I want it to be. Like the actual title for this story itself is Remember. So just going through Google Translator, trying to come up with something that sounds cool, but in a different language, but still means remember,
Okay.
I have the different languages that are in this, but some of the other languages that I've used, Latin, I've used a few times. Arabic I've used. I want to say Polish, but I don't remember. I think I tried using something in Polish, but it just didn't. I couldn't get it to come out. But I want people to think, and I find it interesting looking up different languages and seeing like how to say stuff. I speak very little Spanish, and which is kind of sad considering I'm Puerto Rican. And I've actually lived in Puerto Rico for a number of years, but yet I don't speak Spanish. So I think other languages are very interesting.
And Sana goes to France, and within a year, she speaks French wonderfully.
Yeah, I'm not very happy about that.
and learns English and learns English by listening to American metal.
Yeah. I actually met a guy in Puerto Rico once. I think this was back in 2007 as well. He lived in like a neighboring town to my father where he was from the States. And he, white skin, red hair, and obviously he's not Puerto Rican, but he spoke fluent Spanish. And he said, when I moved here within 3 months, I was fluent.
Wow.
And like, well, how? because I lived there for 3 years, and I had a hard time picking it up.
Mhm.
Just because, depending on what town you're in, it's a whole different language.
Yeah.
Not a whole different language, but it's definitely different.
Yeah.
Pronunciations and word meanings and stuff like that.
Mhm.
So it was hard for me to actually try to pick it up to speak it. I did learn a little bit, like a few words or phrases, but to actually speak Spanish, I couldn't do it.
Yeah.
But I do like other languages, and I think it's great when other people can speak different languages.
Mhm.
The warehouse that I worked at when I was younger, all the drivers, not all the drivers, but most of the drivers there were from Africa. So they spoke 2 or 3 languages.
Oh yeah.
English being one of them. But
Mhm.
then they spoke their native language for where they were from, but then they spoke a neighboring language as well.
Yeah.
So that was very impressive to me.
So what you do with different languages in your writing, in my poetry, I do it with English, where there's something that I want to say, but I don't want to say it in a normal fashion, because saying that's a beautiful sunset is not poetry. So I would look up phrases in a thesaurus to pull out and figure out these different, more obscure words, and the sound of those words often contributes even more to the feel of the piece. Even if you don't know what the word means, the word itself generates part of the emotion of the poem. So I always like doing that, and kind of I think that comes from. I mean, I haven't read Edgar Allan Poe since probably when I was in college or shortly after college, but that was one of the things that always stuck out with Edgar Allan Poe stories is his vocabulary is gargantuan. And so he always uses these words you never heard of. And that helped make his stories creepier, kind of thing. So it's wonderful what you can do with language to create feelings and emotions.
There's so many ways you can go with the English language. That's why I said to my husband about a word. I said something, we were talking, and I said, "Oh, you're such a spendthrift." He goes, "What do you mean?" He's like, "I like to waste money." So I said, "Go look the word up." So he looked the word up, and he says, "Wow, it means exactly what I said." I said, "That's right. It's one of those weird English words that you think means something else because it has the word thrift in it." But
right, because you think thrifty, and you think, well, yeah, that means you're cheap, but no, it doesn't.
And I said, there's a lot of words that are traps like that in the English language.
So one of my favorites. So when I was an English major, and one of the most fascinating courses I took was my senior year. It was a history of the English language. So we started out with Old English, and then we went through all the permeations and what influenced the language and came in at what time. Like after the Norman conquest of England, came in the French influence into English. And then when the Vikings came over and established colonies in the northeast of England, they brought in, so most of our nautical terms go back to the Vikings. Most of because the Normans came over and established the new government, most of our words that deal with government and politics are French derivatives. And because the Anglo-Saxons were a very warlike people, most of our words that deal with war come from Old English. But so there's a term that we use today that draws directly from Old English, and it's soothsayer.
Ah.
So if you think about soothsayer, it's an old term for what we would today call a psychic, or somebody that reads palms or tells fortunes, a fortune teller.
Mhm.
But in Old English, before Christianity, the salutation used on letters was sothlicha, which meant truly or honestly. Soth, Sooth, in Old English meant truth. So a soothsayer was a truth teller,
Not a politician.
not a politician. And something distinctively different from a psychic, but that's, I mean, people think of psychics as truth tellers.
Wow. Some people don't, like, if you talk to religious people again, they'll say, that's a demon talking to them. You don't listen to that, or it's coming from hell. You're listening to the. I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
Actually, talking about religion, when I read the Bible a few years ago, there's a lot of words that I came across that I didn't know what they meant. And when I was staying at my father's house, up in the mountains, there's no cell phone reception. You can get like certain parts of the road, like if there's a clearing or something, or the signal can like get around the mountain, or is not blocked by the mountain rather. But I would just type all these words out and store them in my phone, and then when I would go into town and I'd use the Wi-Fi, I would just start Googling and looking them up, and most of them are like Old English words, or they have, just seeing what the meaning of them is really neat. And there's a lot of times I'll come across something where it's like, wow, what does that mean? Like I've heard the word before, I don't know what it means though. Yeah. And you go and look it up, So when I write stuff, I hope that the reader would do that when they come across, a title like this, Manē rākhā, what the hell does that mean? And if you go through, let me see. At the end of the story, let me see here. This is so surreal. I need to process this. What has happened is noted. I need to have the strength to wake up from this lesson and become the teacher. A lot of these words are in the story in a different language. So it should stand out because I actually have them capitalized, which I don't think most people would even notice that. I didn't realize it until I just looked at it. Like I forgot that I capitalized them. But when you see a word where, let's see if I can find one that's easy to pronounce. Yeah, I have it stored somewhere where it actually has the words translated underneath them, but obviously in the book it doesn't have that. Sila is one of the words. Lexia, which I'm probably pronouncing it wrong, is another word. But when you come across that and you look at it, it's like, wow, it's like, what does that mean? Will the reader actually go and look it up? Will they take that step, or will they just go right past it and not bother with it? I hope that they would actually look it up and learn something, because I learned something. Mm-hmm. And actually, do either of you realize what the story actually is?
I thought it was a meditation.
Close.
Okay.
It was a dream.
Yeah.
This was actually a dream that I had. And several of my stories are dreams where I have a very active imagination. Some of my dreams I can remember, like I'll wake up and I'll actually spend like 20, 30 minutes trying to go over it. And like, what does it mean? I have no idea. But what exactly just happened? Because these are like real vivid dreams to where this is real. This is something that happened. And like with this one in particular, I actually sat there and wrote it out. And some of the things I added, like obviously the different languages, I didn't dream that, you know. But if you look on the De Familias Voces website, there's a link for short films. And two of them are actually dreams. The one with the line where he's looking in the mirror, that was a dream. The other one with me flying a paper airplane, that was a dream as well. And I believe I had them, the paper airplane one I had in Puerto Rico. I want to say the tiger one I had in Puerto Rico also, but I don't remember when I actually wrote that. But this was a dream. So what it actually means, I have no idea.
Do you have a dream journal?
My books.
So you don't I sometimes in the middle of the night I wish I would have something next to the bed so I can write down like thoughts, ideas that I have, because I lose it when I wake up in the morning. I know I had a dream, but I don't remember exactly how it went.
A lot of times I'll type something into my phone, like I'll type it as a text message as a draft, where I go into my my memos and I'll type something out if I have an idea. There was one point where when I first started writing, I bought a voice recorder, and I would keep it with me because going into my phone to like use the voice app was just a pain in the ass. So I would have the voice recorder with me, and if I'm driving in the car, my mind starts wandering. I would just pick it up, but by the time I was able to turn it on and recite it again, it either disappeared or it changed. Or I started swerving, so it wasn't a very good idea to do. Don't try to record stuff when you're driving. You know, that's a little PSA.
Do you have an Android?
Yeah.
That's why. Because I could just tell Siri to record my thoughts. I don't have to take my hands off the wheel.
Mm.
Well, with Android, you can use Google Assistant, but
But
you know what?
Was it what is it? Google? You say hey Google, whatever. Not hey.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Hi Google. Wake up, Google.
Something like that. Yeah. But I won't turn it on my phone because once you do, Siri's always listening.
Yeah.
And so I don't want that. I don't want my phone listening to me all the time.
One day they're just taking notes for when they take over. So
Are you talking about Skynet or the government?
I'm talking about the machines. They're gonna go, you know what? We've got enough information. We got enough information about you now. We can be you. You can go now. We're gonna take over.
Well, the company I work for makes autonomous naval vessels.
See? We don't need people anymore. But if you don't need people anymore, we won't need any war vessels, because who are you fighting?
That's right.
Well, if you've ever watched Terminator, you're fighting the machines.
Yeah, but the machines fighting each other. They're gonna get rid of us. They're gonna get rid of us. We're threats. I don't know why.
Well, that's what they do.
Yeah, but so yeah, they would start fighting each other because they want supremacy, and there can only be one supreme.
Highlander.
Yes.
There was actually a horror film.
There can only be one.
Machines taking over. And I have no idea what the name of it is, but it was actually the cars. The cars were coming to life and, attacking the people. And there was tractor
Where's that?
trailer.
Oh, was that
And the
Stephen King
front-
movie, wasn't it?
What's that?
That's Stephen King movie.
Probably. I wouldn't be surprised.
I think it's called Maximum Overdrive.
Maybe.
That's what I think the name of the movie was. I remember seeing that. It was pretty freaky.
So have you
Yeah.
ever heard of the animated movie 9?
Mm-mm.
It's absolutely amazing, and it's a post-apocalyptic movie, and it goes back to this scientist who creates an intelligent system for the Defense Department to use, and it eventually takes over and causes like a nuclear apocalypse. But the scientist, knowing the possibility of what could happen, what he did was he took, I guess you could say, different parts of his soul and saved them. So after the apocalypse, they could possibly find each other and come back together and be able to restart some form of life again. But you don't know that that's what these little creatures are that are finding each other and having to go on this quest to find out something that is just driving them, that they don't know what it is, and trying to figure out what's going on in this apocalyptic world. But it's a really cool. I really like it.
It sounds like what Voldemort did in Harry Potter.
Going back to the movie, it is Maximum Overdrive, and the one truck that stands out any time I think of it is, I don't know if you can really see it with the phone.
Yeah.
Where it has a giant clown face on the front of the truck.
Yeah.
Having that thing come barreling towards you.
That movie was entirely creepy. I remember being afraid of that.
I vaguely remember it, but that comes to mind. That truck with the giant clown on the front of it. Anything else? Any more questions, comments, concerns, suggestions?
No.
Don't have anything. Nothing more.
Wow. We actually did this in under 2 hours.
Wow, look at that.
I think we might be setting a record. All right. Next week, we're going to discuss 3 more stories. Mike will actually get to choose these ones. And actually, Nikki, this wasn't discussed before, but you're welcome to join us for that discussion as well, if you'd like.
Okay. I would love to come back.
Yeah. I enjoy talking with you. So it would be good. I want to hear a little bit more about this podcast that you're talking about now that you actually have 2 of them. So I'd like to hear some more about that.
Well, I remember my friend that I didn't know whether he's going to die or not. I haven't seen him this week, so maybe he did die.
Is that the crazy author guy?
Yes.
I
was
the
away.
Machines come for him?
No, he said 2 things. He said that our town's going to run out of water soon, and we're all going to die. And then the second thing he said was he was probably going to be dead by the time I came back from vacation. And I haven't seen him since I came back from vacation, so I don't know.
Depending on what town you live in, there probably is some truth to the first part, to where you're going to run out of water.
Well, he's saying that the people that run the town are stealing water from. They're selling our water to somebody. What is it? Is it? I think Deer Park. That's we feed into Deer Park's what is it? Fresh water stream.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So they use it to bottle water. He said the town's selling all the water away. Like I said,
there could be some truth to that. There was an article I read a few years ago about I want to say Nestle. I could be wrong, but I want to say Nestle, where they were pumping water in California and for their bottled water, and trying to be like a good company. Since they were like, if there was a drought there, they decided to stop pumping water in that area for their bottled water, and they moved their production to Pennsylvania, and we're pumping water out of Pennsylvania, which that area of Pennsylvania was also under a drought, but it was kind of not as bad as California. So it was good. It was positive, you know.
Yeah, it's like, do we really need them bottling water though? I don't know.
No.
I could go right down the road and pump water from a spring right into a bottle and take it home, and I have a well in my backyard. So,
well, and also bottled water trivia: 50% of bottled water is polluted, and a large portion of bottled water is simply filled up by the same taps that city water goes to people's houses.
Yeah.
So unless now your Pepsi product and your Coke product, which are Dasani and Aquafina, actually state on them that they use reverse osmosis purification, which is the highest level of purification that you can use. But you also will see on their ingredients list that there's a bunch of minerals that they add back in because reverse osmosis water has no taste. It's so clean that it has no taste, so it's not really palatable. People wouldn't like it, straight out of the purification.
I'm going to veer off just a little bit here. You're talking about reverse osmosis.
Yeah.
The Osmosis album is a very good album.
Yeah, but are there any if you play it in reverse, are there any satanic kind of things that come out?
I don't know. I never tried it. I don't have a record player.
One of my favorite podcasters says that he's a YouTuber. He says that every album you play backwards has satanic messages because the music industry is just trying to brainwash all of us.
Yeah. So when you play it backwards, it has these bad stuff. Does anyone play their records backwards? So we're not getting those messages anyway.
Have you ever seen Little Nicky, the movie?
No.
You've never seen Little Nicky? That's a great movie. Anyway, there's a scene where they actually play one of the albums backwards.
Yeah.
And it's, I forget what album it was, but it's an album you wouldn't think that, it's like, oh, there's satanic messages in this album when you play it backwards. And
that was an accusation of a Beatles album.
Well, this particular album that they're discussing in the movie was not the Beatles.
Yeah,
I don't remember what album it was because they said, oh, when you play it backwards, it's satanic message. Like, no, it's not, but this one is. And they play spin it backwards. You can hear like the satanic voice and everything saying something, which I thought was really, really cool. It's not real.
Yeah,
it's not actually in that album, but for the movie purpose, it was. So.
Yeah, but I'll bet a lot of people went out and bought those albums just to see.
Hey,
well, I probably would have. If somebody told me that there's satanic messages in there, if you play it backwards, I probably would go out and buy the album just out of curiosity.
Yeah.
Is there like a message there? It's like, what is it? I'm curious.
Yeah.
Or are they just like trying to sell an album? Either way.
And then what happens though?
You let the demons out.
Okay. The demons are already out.
Somebody locked Satan in the reverse playing of a record.
Satan goes wherever he wants to go when he's not trapped anywhere. If he exists at all.
What was that wonderful Stephen King quote?
I know. Well, I used to have it taped on my computer at work, my monitor.
monsters and ghosts are
Demons.
actually real. They exist in our minds.
It's close. Hold
Yeah,
on.
something like that.
I was hoping that it would come up real quick. I have it saved somewheres, but I forget. But there was actually an episode of Criminal Minds where at the end of
Okay, monsters are real, ghosts are real too. They live inside us, and sometimes they win.
That's where I first found it. That's very fun. It's true.
I forget what episode it was, but usually at the end of each episode of Criminal Minds, they recite a quote from something that deals with the episode. Either sometimes in the beginning of the episode, but usually at the end.
Right.
And that's
when they're flying the jet home.
I heard it, and I looked it up, and I actually printed it out, and I had it taped to my monitor at work. You know, I think I have it saved in my emails somewheres.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's the truth.
Absolutely.
I have to go by Stephen King's house. I've been to that town, and I never gone over there. Like he decorates it for Halloween every year too.
Oh, nice.
With all his books.
No, just like really creepy stuff outside the gates and stuff, and people come take pictures and all that stuff. So he's been doing that for a long time. Huh. I didn't realize his birthday was the same day as my sister's. September 21st. First day.
Nah, we just missed it.
First day of fall.
24th or 21st?
21st.
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 Yep.
Although the first day of fall this year was the 22nd.
Was it?
Yep. So the solstice and the equinox can fall between the 19th and 22nd on any given year.
You know, we just had that creepy full moon. Like the 20th.
It's a beautiful full moon. That was a harvest moon. I believe it's a harvest moon.
You come out here where we live. If you're walking down the road in the middle of the night, it's pitch black. You see the moon, see the stars. You're waiting for somebody with an axe to come get you.
Oh man, I see that as beautiful.
I would
actually person with the axe.
I'm always waiting for somebody to jump out of the bushes. Not just the bears and the turkeys and stuff. Somebody else, but it hasn't happened.
You have turkeys that jump out at you?
Right now, the turkeys they're blocking traffic. I don't know what's going on, but you see that.
That's because they're boycotting Thanksgiving that's coming up.
No, they're getting themselves all fattened up because they're eating in everybody's yard. And the hunters are going to come take them out and cook them up cut them up for us. It's going to happen.
My younger brother used to have animals and like various animals in the yard. And one of them was a turkey. He had a 60-pound turkey.
Jeez.
I don't know whatever happened to it. That was.
He obviously didn't cook.
That was almost 20 years ago.
That'd be a hell of an oven to get that thing in.
God, you have to cook them outside on a spit.
Yeah, twirl them on a spit.
Old school.
Roast turkey.
That's one of the things I miss about Puerto Rico. Only it's a pig, not a turkey.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
You know, go and get yourself a lechon asada.
I've never seen any of that done before, like up close. I always thought it'd be interesting.
It is. when I was a kid, I grew up in South Jersey in the Pine Barrens. So it was I was told it was 28 acres. I don't know if it actually was 28 acres, but it was a lot of land around us. And our house was on the back of the property, so it's like 700 foot off the road. And then there's trees all around us and like a swamp. But we used to have a pig roast, and where my stepdad would go down to the butcher shop and get a pig, bring it home, and they'd cook it out on a grate. Like they take one of those big like oil drums and cut it in half, put a metal grate on there, and cook it.
Wow.
And it was really good. In Puerto Rico, you'll see that a lot, where they have a pig, and it's all makeshift stuff usually. Whereas like somebody built a mechanical spit where the pig is on there, and it's this little tiny motor with a chain, and it spins it, and they got coals and stuff. Where they might dig a pit or there's like a some kind of like drum or something that they use, or that was like cut open, and they'll put the coals or the wood or whatever they're going to use to cook it inside that, but it's on the ground, and they just cook it up, and then they cook it, cut it up and serve it. But you'll see that all over the island, and it is good. It is very good.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
In Hawaii, in Hawaii, it's in a pit.
Oh yeah.
So they heat up lava rock. They put lava rock down in this pit. Then they take banana leaves fresh off the tree, so green banana leaves, and they put it over the lava rock. Then they put the pig down on the banana leaves. And then they cover it with banana leaves, and then they cover it with lava rock, and then they fill the hole in, and it cooks overnight, or 24 hours, or I think it might be 12 hours, cooks overnight. And then they dig it up, and it's so good.
Yeah, that's got to be falling off the bone and everything.
Oh yeah.
What about the seasonings? What do they throw in there?
I have no idea.
See, that's what I always get into. Like, what do you season that with? What do you rub on the meat to get it to do that? Keep it moist and flavorful.
Oh yeah.
I'm guessing a little bit of like coconut milk or something. Something's in there.
I actually don't know what kind of spices they would actually use, because they leave the skin on.
Right.
But they don't. But when they serve it, they cut through the skin and they only give you the meat underneath.
Right.
I might be going down to Puerto Rico next month. I'll ask. I'm sure it's different between Puerto Rico and Hawaii.
Oh yeah, yeah. But it would still be interesting to
find out.
Yeah, interesting to know.
Yeah, that's good stuff.
There's actually a lot of places you'll see where that's what they do. Like they have a lechon asada on the side of the road. So I don't know if they're doing it every day or if it's on the weekends or what, but I've passed them here and there in my travels, and you just go and they have a stand there, and then they got a pig that's being cooked. But anyway, this will actually be aired. It's going to be posted on Twitch and Facebook and YouTube, and then the podcast. There's a whole list that you can find on our website of the various podcast platforms that we're on. Apple, Spotify. We're not on Pandora just because it was too much of a pain in the butt to set up, and I was lazy. But it's on pretty much everything else. Google, iHeartRadio, Deezer, Stitcher, whole bunch of them. But this will go up on there, and then next week we'll come back and we'll discuss another three stories.
All right, sounds good.
I want to thank both of you for joining us, and we'll do it again next week.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks a lot.
Have a good night.
Have a good one.